everyone, and welcome to a Deck Tech on the Constructed Criticism YouTube channel. I'm Spencer, host of Constructed Criticism, and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. And today, we're doing another Deck Tech. This week, we are going into Legacy. We're getting ready for Legacy GP in Vegas. There's 3 GPs in Vegas coming up very soon. A Modern, a Legacy, and a Limited GP. And it's really exciting, and it's something that I'm really excited to be prepared for. And one of our listeners is actually is helping me secure a deck for the GP. Legacy is one of my favorite formats. It's something that I try and play. I try and play every week. I unfortunately don't get to because of work, but it's something that I really try and be a part of and understand as I do a podcast on Constructed, and it's a big part of my game. So this week we're going to do a deck on the deck that currently, this is actually the deck list that I'll be taking to GP Vegas. I don't know how many cards will change from now to Vegas. It's entirely possible that I find something else that I want to be doing with my sideboard or with the main deck. But this is currently what I am taking with me to Vegas. So let's get right into this. We're playing 4-color control in Vegas. One of the decks that I've done well with in the past, I lost a win and in for top 8 of an SCG Open with Shardless Bug, and it was a deck that I felt very comfortable with. It was a deck that I played a ton of. I honestly just played a ton of the deck, and this deck fits in a similar mold as Shardless Bug, and it gives me options in the way that Shardless Bug gave me options. It doesn't quite have the same suspend a turn 1 Ancestral Visions win the game kind of feel, but it still plays in the same vein, and it's a deck that I'm putting in work with and trying to get the same game plan out that I was getting with that deck. So we have, similarly to Shardless, but the deck starts with Baleful Strix. So we have 4 Baleful Strix. This is a card that really helps for Delver matchup, and also a sweet thing to be able to pitch to Force of Will. Honestly, in the matchups where this card isn't good, it becomes good because it's something that you are actively okay pitching to Force of Will, which is pretty important for a card. Being able to block Delvers, being able to block, Gurmag Anglers. This card just does it all while getting you a little bit of card advantage, and it's surprisingly good. Like, it's deceptively good, because you would just not expect this card to do as much as it does, and it's just a huge part of the metagame and a huge part of this deck. So we have 4 Deathrite Shaman. This is just the best creature in Magic, and honestly just the thing that I want to be doing in Legacy. This is the kind of Magic that I like to play. It gives me some interaction against Black-Red Reanimator, which is just going to be a really popular deck. While that deck can go off turn 1 a lot, luckily for me, I do have some amount of disruption in this deck, and even have some main deck hate in the form of Deathrite Shaman, and that's important. I think that as somebody who will probably only have 1 buy going into GP Vegas, I want something to deal with that deck, and I just think this is just one of the best cards in Magic, and really lets you play the game on multiple levels, whether it's speeding up against certain opponents, whether it's preventing their strategy, or there's just a little bit of life gain. This kind of does it all in so many different ways, and it's why it's the best creature in Magic, and it's a huge part of the deck. The reason that I have to switch to this deck is actually in this deck. So Leovold, Emissary of Trest, is the new player in Legacy. It's a huge part of the metagame, and honestly, people just, including myself, just didn't understand the impact that this card was going to have. As somebody who played Shardless Bug, I was like, oh, this is the perfect inclusion in Shardless Bug, but what actually happened is it's the reason you can't play Shardless Bug. So at the beginning, each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Whenever you control a permanent, whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. The card is just a 3-mana 3/3 with so much upside in Legacy. It's kind of ridiculous, and because of this card, you just can't afford to play a deck with Ancestral Visions, even though it fits so perfectly into the deck against some of the other decks. It just really prevented that deck from continuing to exist. Next we have 3 Snapcaster Mage. This card is just Value Town. This deck is all about value, and this is a huge part of that. Also, it lets you cheat on a couple of things, whether it's a Counterspell or Abrupt Decay, just different removal types. This card kind of allows you to kind of cheat in that way, as you get to more mana in this deck than you typically would as it's a control deck. So we have 2 Abrupt Decay, 4 Brainstorm, 1 Counterspell. This is important. I think that most of these lists have moved towards playing a Counterspell, and I think that it's a big part of the game. We have 4 Force of Will, 2 Kolaghan's Command. Some of these decks play no Lightning Bolt, some of them play 4 Lightning Bolt, some of them play 2 Lightning Bolt. I'm down to 3 Lightning Bolt right now. I think that I do want something that can kill Leovold, kill Deathrite Shaman, still kill Delver of Secrets, keep that matchup good, as those are the cards that I really expect to be playing against a lot of the GP. So Next up, we have one Murderous Cut. This is something that I've added to my deck list that isn't in most deck lists. I really, really, really don't want to lose to Gurmag Angler in this deck. I know that I have Baleful Strix, but I just want a main deck answer to things like Gurmag Angler that can just kill anything, and Murderous Cut fits the bill in this deck really well, and I'm really happy to have it. We have two Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is more than most people playing. A lot of people are just playing one. For me, personally, I want to get into the long game, and Jace the Mind Sculptor is the way that I want to win some number of those games. And I think that there are games where you get to play just a Sculptor and just win. Now, I understand why a lot of people play one of them. He's a 4-mana card. That's really expensive. But I think that, being able to pitch it to Force of Will in matchups where you don't need it, and then also having it be a key card in both the mirror match and other matches is really, really key to why I would want more of those. We have two Hymn to Tourach. I think that this card is interesting as you are a deck that has both Counterspell and Hymn to Tourach, but I think that it's important that you keep that kind of pressure on your opponent and keep them honest with cards like this. And I think that there are games that when you cast this card, sometimes you just win. And while this could be more Thoughtseizes, I think that Hymn is just overall the more powerful card and something that you can easily be doing the turn after you play Deathrite Shaman. We have 3 Ponder. This is actually one less than most people play. I found in playtesting this deck that 8 cantrip effects between Ponder and Brainstorm was actually just too many. I understand that I might be cheating a little bit here because of my land situation, but I just haven't had a problem yet, and I found the 3 Ponders to be a perfectly reasonable number. So we have 2 Thoughtseize. This card does exactly what you think it does. It's Thoughtseize, and it Thoughtseizes them. Honestly, there's a world in which this should be Duress, but it's not. I don't know that we're there yet. But Thoughtseize is just a catch-all answer that you kind of need in some of your black decks. I don't really want to be playing Spell Pierce in this deck. I want to be a little bit more proactive than reactive in the deck, and so because of that, Thoughtseizes takes up that other slot that you might see if people play Daze or Spell Pierce in. In this deck, you would much rather be a little bit more proactive. Toxic Deluge I have as a 1-of. I think this card is super important. I think that Elves will be prominent. I think that other things will be prominent, that you'll want this card in, and I would not go to this tournament without this card in my deck. The second that I saw a list with this card, I started to look at that person's finishes on MTGO and started modeling my deck list a little bit after theirs. We have 1 Badlands, we have 1 Island, we have 4 Misty Rainforest, 4 Polluted Delta, 1 Scalding Tarn, 1 Swamp, 2 Tropical Island, 4 Underground Sea, and 2 Volcanic Island. You'll see that we have 4 Underground Sea here. When you play Counterspell and him, and some of my sideboard cards, and Baleful Strix, and Deathrite Shaman, I'm a blue-black deck that's splashing 2 colors, and it is important that I have as many Underground Seas as I need, and I think that's important here. You'll notice that we do have the Badlands. I'm not sure if that's correct. It's been pretty okay in playtesting, as I do play things like Hymn to Tourach, and sometimes I'm going to want that mana, as I also have Kolaghan's Command and Lightning Bolt. Volcanic Island, surprisingly, I've been getting less Volcanic Islands in this deck than I thought I would, but there are probably games where it's very important, and we do have a lot of duels here. I'm only playing 9 fetch lands, but we also have our basics that hopefully protects us a little bit against Blood Moon. I honestly have thought about playing the Forest just to have really good Blood Moon protection. But Deathrite Shaman by itself does a lot of that. So, in our sideboard we have 1 Nihil Spellbomb, 1 Fatal Push. This was something that I considered playing, and I still could. I still could play 2 Lightning Bolt, 1 Fatal Push, but this is something that's in my sideboard right now that could end up making the main deck to give me more slots. 2 Flusterstorm, 1 Golgari Charm, 1 Hydroblast. This card has been a new addition to the sideboard. I've been really impressed with it. There just been more red permanents in play and on the stack than more red spells on the stack than I thought there would be. And it gives you more things against a surprising number of cards, whether it's Wishes or I boarded in against Wish and I boarded in against Sneak Attack, and it's been pretty okay. We have 2 Pyroblast. This card's just obvious what it does. It is one of the reasons to be playing this deck. I think that Pyroblast is a key card in the sideboard and something that you should definitely be included in. Being able to just be a counterspell will also destroy Jace the Mind Sculptors, and Leovolds for 1 mana is pretty good. We have 1 Surgical Extraction. to add to our Nihil Spellbomb. I was playing 2 Nihil Spellbomb, and honestly, being a Snapcaster deck, I'm almost tempted to just go to 2 Surgical Extraction. It's really good, but I do like the 1/1 split so far. We have 1 Duress. This was almost a Thoughtseize, but it's just been a Duress when I want it to be a Duress, so it's been pretty good there. 1 Hymn to Tourach. There are matchups where this is just where you want to be the Duress, Thoughtseize, Hymn to Tourach deck, and in those matchups, you bring that in. 1 Marsh Casualties. This card is something that I saw in a lot of sideboards, and I was like, I guess I'll try it out. And it's just been great. It's taking the place of where I was playing Massacre, and it's been pretty good. It also just kills True Name Nemesis, which is really important, along with my Golgari Charms, where I don't have to play 2 Golgari Charms. But it could be worse. I'm not sure yet. It's been pretty okay, though. I've kicked it a few times. So, and then we have 1 Painful Truths. Man, this card is pretty good in Legacy. Dealing yourself 3 damage to draw 3 cards is perfectly reasonable, and it's something that this deck really wants to do in the matchups where it matters. So, Painful Truths, MVP, makes it so you don't have to play more Jaces, as you don't want too many Jaces in your deck. And the last card I have in my sideboard is because of the number of buys I have 2 Chill. And the reason is because this deck, just like just like Shardless Bug, has a really hard time against Burn deck. And you just it might not be worth it. I may be just wasting my time. And I might wish that I had 2 more sideboard slots at the end of the GP, but I have lost to Burn so many times that it's worth it to me. I think that they can't beat this card, and that's important to me. So that is it for the deck this week. This is what I'm taking to GP Vegas. Please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you would do, what you would change, what your thoughts on the deck are. If this is something that you're interested in playing, you can also support us by going to patreon.com/ccmtg to become a patron of each and every one of our shows and all of our content. Anything that you see fit is really appreciated. We really do appreciate it. You can also go to our website at constructorcriticism.com. Check out both of our podcasts, Constructor Criticism and Limited Time Only, to become a patron, to listen to the content. And there's also just swag page. So if you want to buy some Constructor Criticism swag, you can go there, check that out. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please subscribe, leave a like, and we'll see you guys all next week.